Welcome back. I suppose you will have seen at least a few of my previous podcasts before picking up on this one. This whole series of podcasts in one way or another are all about consciousness. If you saw the first two ones, you will remember that I tore down your material existence into nothing, and then rebuilt you with the consciousness as bricks of reconstruction. Here I will take you on a short journey into consciousness itself, as close as we may come, and try to explain the weaves of the world. A prerequisite for understanding consciousness is to put aside the materialistic worldview, at least for this brief moment. I also want you to put aside the presently ruling view of how you hold the world, the universe, how it came into being, and the so-called Big Bang Theory. Forget it for the time being. You also need to drop any religious views with regard to creation. The creationist view that some divine being created the world in a limited number of days. Forget it, just for a few minutes. Once you have cleared your mind of any disturbing preconceptions, you are ready to join me on this journey. Consider this an intellectual experiment. I am in no way trying to tell you what to believe, so after this journey you may and will most probably feel more comfortable returning to your own view, scientific, religious, or whatever. Here we go. Imagine an absolute void. This is not a space, an absolutely empty space. It is not even space. It is absolute nothingness, no space, no matter, no thing whatsoever. I bet you have a problem imagining something like this, which is not even something. Consider this absolute nothingness to be the initial point of philosophy. Considering this absolute nothingness, we actually consider something. If you and I are able to imagine this, then nothingness has a presence in one way or another. The absolute void is present where there is nothing. Thus, it may be considered being something. The fact that absolute nothingness exists makes it into something, which is logically contradictory, but here we are beyond human logic too. This is intellectually inconceivable. As I speak, I understand that I am and that something exists, at least to my perception. I trust my sensory perceptions telling me, at least partly, what surrounds me and that I have a body. I think you have the same experience, so we must conclude right here and now that we exist and that things around us also do. This observation is very difficult, if not impossible to deny. It also proves that you are a conscious being with perceptions that are far beyond that of a stone. With no consciousness, we will not be able to perceive our existence at all. This implies that consciousness is necessary in order to knowingly exist. I say that consciousness is the root of being. You may remember another podcast considering the consciousness of the body, and maybe also my thoughts about the universe. Basically, my thought is rooted in the philosophy on panpsychism, possibly the oldest concept of the world. In short, it says that the entire cosmos, is conscious and alive. When saying cosmos, I mean not only the universe we observe, but also a space of no limits and no time. Cosmos is absolutely unlimited and eternal. There is no outer edge and no beginning or end. Here we are conscious beings on an infinitely small planet, part of a plenum in the void. We are conscious, ergo consciousness exists. Indisputably it exists inside this unimaginable cosmos, us being part of it. Questions arise. What is it? Where is it? We cannot see or hold it. It is intangible. Yet we express consciousness in all we say and do. There is consciousness behind ideas and thoughts. Opening the brain, however, you cannot locate anything, any given thought, anywhere. The materialistic view is insufficient. I cannot explain the development of a thought by the firing of neurons. Then let me take you some steps beyond the material. My thesis is that consciousness is the prima materia, which is to say that it is the matter of being. Consciousness at a level we cannot intellectually understand or explain is the cosmic all-generating principle and power. It is both immaterial and at the deepest levels of matter, embedded in its tiniest building blocks, those that we know as quantum particles. Considering consciousness as the particle-generating power implies that it must be the most basic level that is embedded in matter. This overcomes the dualistic view suggested by Descartes, the res cogitans as a separate from res extensa. It also explains consciousness is present in the human body and the brain. It even clarifies both the dependence and independence not only of the human being, but also of the mind, while at the same time explaining the connectedness to the all. Consciousness is the cosmic ocean, and all and everything is part of it, the temporal and the eternal. Consciousness, thus embedded at the core of all we consider material, is what makes it possible for us, as well as all living beings on Earth, even planets and stars, to be aware of existence. It implies that every grain of sand, every drop of water, mountains and seas, as much as every beast on the planet, including us, carry consciousness deep within. Now follow me. Consciousness builds matter. Every single particle vibrates with this energy, defining what they are. Particles join to form atoms and build material matter, the elements that we know from the periodic table. We recognize this to happen according to some regular patterns from where we formulate the laws of physics. Even so, we cannot fully explain what is going on, only observe the forces at play. We may, for simplicity, use Darwin to explain the continuation, development of more and more complex life after the formation of the planet, as explained by physics and geology. From here we move into the more complex development of the brains of animals and humans, remembering that consciousness is part of those brains as well as the bodies carrying them. Now I jump directly to the human being and its consciousness, since even though we think we know a lot about animal mind, the subjective consciousness of individual animals is mostly a closed book to us. I believe I have made it clear that my view of consciousness as the root of matter, and that it exists on the mineral level. This is to say that when the mineral composition grows into biological ones, consciousness is part of it from the beginning, maybe even the driving force behind it. We recognize the fact that the body would not work unless there was some consciousness keeping it going. As I explained in my podcast on the body, there is a deep and immediate internal communication within the body. It is what we call subconscious, for we need not think about to keep it going. We say it is automatic. Even so, we have now defined a second level of consciousness, the biological, built on the first, the mineral. And then we reach cognitive consciousness, or mental consciousness, the awake thinking one. Often people consider this the only real consciousness, saying that you are unconscious when in deep sleep or coma, or if you have just fainted. This, of course, is not correct. It is only change in the state of consciousness. It moves one level below the mental level into the psychic level, where dreams and emotions live. Here we consider two more phases of consciousness, the psychic and the mental, both easily available, but there is more. Beyond the mental, you may enter spiritual consciousness via methods like meditation, shamanistic practice, or the use of psychoactive means. Spiritual insights available here is a prerequisite for any further journeying into consciousness. The spiritual sphere of consciousness borders on the transcendental. This is where the minds of groups of both animals and humans are connected with the egregores. It is transhuman. The transcendental sphere is a very difficult one, for here resides powers that may drive human masses into action, both good and bad. It is a tough journey to cross this sphere. But once done, you reach a realm that is so vast that you recognize your connection with the all-encompassing, all-generating cosmic consciousness. And here, words are useless. I have now defined 7 spheres of consciousness that are all really one and fully integrated. The journey actually is about reaching into and containing all within yourself as an experience. This is the only way that we may investigate consciousness via and through our own. Then you will know the connectedness of all and be able to see behind the curtains of material existence. There is a deep light.